everyone. Welcome to Drawing Expressions, live streaming here on YouTube. I'm Parz. Thank you so much for joining me for the next hour or so for some creative writing, or at the very least, helping to make your day better, or even just being part of your creative journey. Hi, how are you? I'm okay. I'm glad that you're all here. So a couple things before we dive in. So first off, Alicia is on chat, so please reach out, say hi, and let us know that you are here. I've got iced coffee, which I will be sipping from time to time, including right now. Okay. Let's get to moving. Let's do some stuff. Things to know. Now, I always like to bring this up. The guidelines versus rules. Guidelines, they bend, they don't break. And that is what we do here. We do guidelines. So anything that I say doesn't work for you, it's a guideline. Don't listen. You want to do something that I haven't said? It's a guideline. Go ahead, give it a try. Class structure. So we do honor both the planner and the pantsers, both writing styles here. The planner and the pantser, they're going to bleed a little bit today, I think. We'll see. We'll see how it's going to work out. But yeah, we'll just sort of go along as we go along. Lastly, free expressions. This is our open art time. It happens 1 day ago for everyone who is joining me live. And if you're on the replay, go into our Linktree, find the link, it'll take you in. It's a good time. Make an art date with yourself. Okay, having said that, let's just sort of jump straight into the breathing and the stretching, because creative endeavors really require some serious brain power, and in order to get your brain power working, you need to keep your body nice and healthy and stretched and limber. And that's what we're going to do here. So let us do our square breathing, which is what I call my breathing technique for getting me into the mood for writing. So it's inhale 5, hold 5, exhale 5, hold 5. And notice the whole hand thing kind of guides you along as well. Okay, so here we go. I invite you to join me here. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale in, and a little stretch. And exhale. And keep in mind when you're doing this, you don't want to overstretch, all right? Don't do what I did and throw your back out by doing something like that. Yeah, I am that old. Okay. Let's begin. Let's begin. So I'm just gonna jump straight over to here. So what I want to talk about today in this planner part is we've talked in live streams about my writing process. We've talked about how we will take an idea and we observe it, and you really sort of play with it. And this is a process that can take days, right? Now, in these live streams, they happen in minutes, and that's just sort of the nature of the beast because of the live stream. But oftentimes it'll take days, right? And you're just sort of playing with it, and you're toying with it and having fun with it. And then finally, when you're ready, you can start to write down details about what it is that you want to write. Okay, and then there is the whole editing of, like crafting your scribe into something that you actually want to present to, like, yourself as a reader, but also to other readers. So the question that came up is, how do you know what it is, what form it is that this process is going to end up into? How did I know, for instance, that the first submission I did for Moss Piglet was going to end up being a song parody? How did I know that a particular work is going to be like a microfiction? And part of that is how you relate to the piece. And part of that is going to be sort of a decision as you're working along. And we're going to be talking about this in this planner portion. So with that, let us dive into, let me get my screen up and running. There we go. And okay. So what we're going to do first off is we're going to take an observation. We're going to take an observation, and we're going to work through this, whether it is a seed word germination, the SWG, or other means, and we're going to have something that we can work with. And we really want to have details get put into this. We want it to be more long form. Where we're going with this is going from sort of like a long, detail-filled rendition of whatever it is that we're looking to, what we're scribing, and condensing it down into something that is more microfiction. Now, microfiction is defined as any story that is 250 words or less. Okay? So it's still a fair number of words, and I used to work in 100 words pretty strictly, and we'll talk about that as well. But anyways, this is where we're going to start, is taking this observation and working our way into something that's more concrete. I'm just going to take 1 second here. What is it that yes. Okay, so this is the exercise, what I'm talking about. So we're going to start with our observation. We're going to scribe it, and again, make sure that you put in plenty of detail. This is not a time to edit. This is not a time to limit yourself on ideas. This is not a time to, this is the time to have your imagination play. This is the time to allow your mind to go wild. I mean, for, lack of a better term, get it out there. If you're limiting yourself in this process, the observation and scribing, that means you are limiting down the number of choices you have when it comes time to actually start to craft your piece. Okay, so as you're doing your observation, pay attention to how the scribing wants to go. Does it want to be more of a straight text kind of thing, which is prose, or does it want to be more lyrical, more of like a poetry type of thing? Does it want to be more serious or dark or moody type of thing, or does it want to be more light, more airy? Does it want to be long? Does it want to be short? Pay attention to these things, right? And so that's all of that stuff. So my intent when I first wrote this, start working while I talk about the why, this is important, and my thoughts on writing microfiction. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it up just a little bit. I'm going to work a quick, long form observation and scribing, and I will use the seed word germination. And then we'll talk about sort of editing down to microfiction length, and we'll see how far we get with that. And I do have an example as to how that worked. So I will lead with that. So let's all work together on a seed word generation if you need it. Otherwise, just have a story that you'd like to use. But I'll use seed word germination. It's been a while since I've done it. Maybe people haven't seen it in a while. So I am going to, let's see here, where do I go? Oh, right. I'm going to come over here to the let's begin so I can hide as I bring up my working page. Here we go. Oh, this is big. I always like to have a little bit smaller. There we go. And I do have my word counter on the bottom, which can be helpful as we're working through more of a story length type of edit. But for right now, let's start with the seed word germination, see where it goes. Okay, so let's just use the word germination. Germination. I'm going to rhyme that. Termination, which is the end. Whoops. End. And from the end, we have the beginning, or the start. And then between the end and the start, we have the middle. And muddle. Fun little word, muddle. Puddles. And we always play in puddles, especially if they're like warm water, which we get here in Thailand. The warm rain goes into the puddles and you just splash in it. It's fun. Play. So let's just put in mud since we just put that in. Mud. Yeah, mud on the carpet equals anger. How about that? Which is a feeling. Reeling, which is another type of feeling, right? Reeling. So we're reeling from a surprise, usually. Surprise. Oh, or bad news, but surprise. Surprise. And I'm going to say surprise is a good thing. Like happy birthday. Surprise. Okay. I'll do happy. I'll put birthday one down. I could have done it either way, but I'll put that there. Birthday. Today's your birthday. I love the Beatles rendition of that, so I'll just put down Beatles. Which is a group, musical group. Here, let's just go soup. Okay, there we go. There's some words. They're all over the place. It should be should be fun to pick from them and come up with something to play with here. Okay. So I'm gonna make my way onto the next page. Where are you? There you are. And sorry, I'm gonna scroll just a little bit as I bring my words down. I am going to pick carpet. Let's see if I can just move my cursor. And sorry for the scrolling. Carpet. Carpet. I'm gonna go with start, and I think I'm gonna scroll again. Soup. Why not? Soup. Okay. There are my 3 words. Okay. Carpet, start, and soup. Now I've an initial idea just jumped in here, which is a little bit nasty, like disgusting, where you've got carpet in the kitchen and that's your soup starter, and ugh. But maybe we can use something like that, not as a soup starter, but as a where are we gonna go? Actually, but I like the carpet in the kitchen, so I'm just gonna start with that, and we'll just start writing down some details. Right? Don't edit yourself. Don't do what I'm doing right now. Oh, I'm guilty as charged. Okay, here we go. So the carpet in the kitchen had been a wonderful equals a wonderful idea at first. Let's get that capital out. Warm floors under the feet while cooking meals worked really well. And I know strong word choices really well. This is something that we will, we can go in and tidy up. But as the meals began to pile up, so too did the list of ingredients, thank you, spell check. So too did the list of ingredients that lay woven into the fabric. Here, let's have a few examples. Let's have a few examples. So we're gonna have onions. Maybe what else? What else can we put in there? A little meat juices, onions, meat juices. What else kind of sounds sort of soup stockish? Salt. Onions, meat juices, salt, and an assortment of other bits and pieces. Too long to list here. So now we're also being a little bit cheeky because I'm kind of talking, I'm sort of breaking the reader's wall a little bit, right? It's too long to list here. All right, so that's a little bit of a fun thing. Okay, actually, before I move on, the carpet itself had, keeps capitalizing. Stop capitalizing, stop hitting the equals. Self had, the carpet itself had started to become less fabric and more soup starter. And let's just add another little bit here. And in essence, a tasting. What I want to say is, like, as this person is walking around their house, they're tracking the soup starter along the floor, so it's almost becoming sort of like a buffet in a way. So almost like a tasting menu. Minute menu. Tasting menu was laid out for all sorts of ants and other insects all throughout the house. Okay. All right, so there we go. There's a bit of a start. Where are we going to go with it? Where are we going to go with it? I think what I want to do is make a little bit of a turn here. So we've got it from the perspective of the person who was actually in the kitchen. And let's turn it on its head a little bit. So being an I think spelled right, maybe it's E-N, enterprising, thank you. Being an enterprising sort, let's move that up. Let's see here. We're really not talking about the person who's narrating this, are we? So I can sort of identify it as me. I can identify it as a third person. Who do I want to do it to? Being an enterprising sort, I'm just going to identify this person as they. There we go. sort of a generalized they, being an enterprising sort, they decided that instead of taking the time and money and energy to rip out the carpet, they would instead enlist the aid of the insects that were already enjoying daily feasts. And not, let's see here, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just simply we don't want to just simply be passive in advertising that this is out here. We want to be active. So what do? Not satisfied to simply allow her, her, why not? Her, actually, this is not a her, this is a him. And not satisfied to simply allow his customers to find the beasts on their own. He decided, decided to advertise. And he did so in a clever way. He went on Ant TV. What is Ant TV? Don't know. About to find out. Okay. He went on Ant TV as their foreign cooking correspondent. Reporting on location. Okay, so as their foreign cooking correspondent, reporting on location. Where are we going with this? I'm not really sure. But just keep going, because this is just sort of like we're just pantsering along here. And I know this is the planner section, but pantsers are enjoying it right now. Okay. So what would happen with all of this? So in the end, he was able to maintain a level of cleanliness that he felt comfortable with, improved his relationships with the neighboring insects. Doesn't like neighboring for the U, so I'll just get it out of there because I don't like the underline red. The neighboring insects. And became an insectoid, not insecticide, insectoid. Okay, I'll have to come back and do that. Insectoid celebrity. Let's see now, an insectoid celebrity. The insect paparazzi, thank you, was a problem he didn't foresee, but that tale is for another day. Okay, so we've just kind of put some ideas out there, came up with them on the spot. Does it make a lot of sense? No, it doesn't. And that's okay. We're going to take this and we're going to craft it into something a bit more usable in our editing technique. Okay, so I hope that you have been able to craft something, not craft, but to observe something and then scribe it. We're going to set this aside. We'll come back to it. And I want to take a moment to talk about why we're doing this and where it's going. Okay, so for that, I'm going to hide my switching of screens into here and scroll and okay, and back to here. Okay. Excuse me. So I want to talk about how it is that I wrote a story called The Whole Buzzard. And it is a 100-word story. Wrote it earlier this year. Actually, here, I'm going to scroll up and let's just put the entire story on here, and then we will talk about how it is that I wrote it. So a wrong turn onto a dusty track in northern Texas led me to a rickety shack. I stopped for directions and was met with a strange odor and an elderly, disheveled gentleman who looked at me and asked, "What part do you want?" Not sure what he was referring to, I asked, "Part of what?" "Buzzard," was the reply. Turns out the shack is also a restaurant named The Whole Buzzard. The name's accurate. It's the only offering on the menu. Taken aback, I asked for what I hoped was the least offensive item. "Drumstick," I said. "Bold choice," he replied. Now, let's talk about how this came to be. I'm just going to, come over here to, here we go. I'll come back to that screen in just a minute. Let's get this out of the way. But I want to talk about how this came to be in relation to all the stuff that we talked about so far. So I was in the shower, and shower is, you always hear about the shower being like this ideas generating place, and boy, is it true. You can just work out so many things, you know, because you're sort of mindlessly doing, you know, like wash your hair and blah, 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 blah. I mean, you don't have to think about that stuff as you're going through it. And a lot of people will use it to like figure out their day, what's coming up, and sort of actively think. I prefer to just let my mind go and not really think about stuff. And when that happens, then it's almost like instead of me thinking, there are thoughts that will think me. Because they'll just sort of bubble up, and I can have fun with them and play with them. And this is how we discover stories, how I discover stories. They just sort of bubble up, and then I play. And I found myself this one day in the shower saying, "Buzzard," over and over and over again. Now, we can argue about how it was that I got there. I think I was thinking about King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard. I'm not making up that band name. It is a real band. And somehow I ended up on Buzzard. But however it is I got there, I got to Buzzard. And I knew that I had to do something with a story using Buzzard. But I had no idea what. It was sort of the situation from the live we did with song parodies, where what would happen if you started with the line, you know, the next line down of from that Beatles tune, you know, and so instead of you know, what was it? We started with, "Hey, take a sad son and make him better." So instead of having like, "Hey Jude, don't be down," right? Take a sad song and make it better. So we have "take a sad son and make it better." So it's sort of like And then, how does that formulate through? How does that run through? Where can you go with that? So I sort of had the same thing. Like, I've got this idea for buzzard, and I know it's going to be, it's not the first word in the story. It's going to be in there somewhere. What do I do with it? And came on the idea of like having a restaurant. And so who's going to go to the restaurant? Well, maybe it's going to be some sort of food critic from like maybe Condé Nast or like the local paper or something, and just sort of throwing this out there and just like sort of, scribing in my head in the shower. And as I got it onto paper, realized that it was very long, and I really, really, really wanted it to be 100 words. And we'll talk about why actually, let's talk about it now. So I wanted it to be 100 words because it's a wonderful length of story. It actually forces you to pay attention to what is it that's important, because 100 words, it's not a lot of storyline. So you have to really pick and choose what it is that you want to put in there. And rare is the day when you say, oh, I'm at 91 words. I need to squeeze 9 more in here in order to get to 100. It's always the other way. I'm at 115. Where's the 15 words that need to go? Because right now, every single one needs to be there. So, so it makes you identify what is it that's important, what is it that's not. And so I stripped out a lot of the stuff. It didn't really matter that the person was a food critic. It really didn't matter that they were from Condé Nast. It really didn't matter. So I'm going to just take this back to the story. Come on. Here we go. So instead of having it be like this huge thing, this big backstory, it's a wrong turn on a dusty track in northern Texas. Boom, done. And we're just off we go. And there are so few details here that you're not left with like arguing with, oh, this can't possibly be true because. If you keep it really, really, really simple and really, really, really short, there's nothing there to argue with. It's just like, it's a fact. Wrong turn, dusty track, northern Texas, boom, done. And then I get to, so second sentence, I get to the person who is going to say my key word, with the elderly disheveled gentleman. And this is sort of a holdover. The description is a holdover from this person who's more cultured, who is more learned of the world. Elderly disheveled gentleman. We could have described this person in a very different way, way more derogatory. We didn't, because we wanted to give the story, the narrator, an air of elegance. And so now we get to the lead up line of how do we get to buzzard, and what part do you want? And so we need to, like, have to kind of work our way through. Part of what? Buzzard. Here we go. So I got to my line that I was repeating in the shower over and over and over. And as I stripped out more and more in this middle part, I had some options to make, in terms of, who are the clientele, and, why would there a restaurant be out here in the middle of nowhere? Stripped it all out. Doesn't matter. It's just like, it's there. Go. And so, so we've got the restaurant. Not another building around. It's okay. We don't have to have one there, because we're not giving people the ability to question what's there, what's not. We're keeping it really, really short. So now we've got like the last little bit here where our narrator is trying to work through what is the least offensive thing, drumstick, and then the final bit, bold choice. Now, that actually ends up being the phrase, the response of the entire piece. Not buzzard, which is where I thought it was going to be in the beginning. And bold choice was actually a quite late addition into this editing process. So that is how the whole buzzard was written and why it was turned into a microfiction. So let's go back to our fiction and just shuffle it down. And let's see if we can identify just a few key bits and write a really short story out of it. So I'm going to disappear us for just a second and come back to, here we go. Back in. Okay. So I just want to see, let's get my, my writing tools back in my lap. I just want to see the number of words that, come on, you fool thing, that I have, so I can do that by highlighting my text. Okay, I'm at 216. So really, to get it, if I'm going to be strict about 100 words, and I do encourage you at some point, be strict with pick a length and then be strict to it, because it is a really interesting exercise to watch as the story goes from big and detailed and rambling into a tight little thing, and it can take some time. There was an interesting quote in the beginning of a letter. I think it was Oscar Wilde, but I may be wrong in this. Anyways, he said, "Apologies for the long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one." Right? So this is getting to that same type of thing. It takes time to edit and condense down all of this stuff into something that is short. Okay, so I'm going to unhighlight that so I don't accidentally delete it. Now, where do we go with this? The carpet in the kitchen had been a wonderful idea at first. Warm floors under the feet while cooking meals worked really well. I love that first sentence. It gives us a nice setting. As the meals began to pile up, so too did the list of ingredients that lay woven in the carpet, or in the fabric. So I'm going to take out the detail of here. So actually, I'm going to just give myself some space that lay woven into the fabric. Boom, done. Okay. So that is a that's our first little bit. Let's see now here. We are going to now move on to let's see now here. So the carpet itself, it started to become less fabric and more soup starter. So I'm going to just grab that and then we have this whole thing about the ants. So I'm going to grab that and I'm just going to paste it. Okay. Let's see now here. So he needs to clean. Let's see here. Here at the house. So in the end, so I'm just going to grab this. He went on Ant TV. I'll just grab that last bit. Oh, and I like the paparazzi. Oops, go away. So let's grab the paparazzi. Just add that there. Okay, so we've taken out some bits. So let's just highlight now where we are in the word count. And yeah, so by taking out just some unimportant detail, 136, okay? And we can take it, we can shape it, and we can move it down. So the important bits are carpet, soup is now soup stock that ants and other insects are eating, and he wants to advertise by being on Ant TV. And we can have just fun with that and make it even tighter and then make the Ant TV bit more believable, because right now there's enough detail here that people can sort of argue with, that doesn't make sense. If you strip out detail, it gives people less ability to say something doesn't make sense. Okay, with that, that is where this story would go. Let me take 1 minute. I'm just going to talk to the room here, and I'm going to bring me back to make sure that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover in this bit. Yes, okay, because we've talked about what you gain and lose when you are editing for length. So what you gain when you make it short is punch, you gain focus, and you gain the ability to make it more believable, oddly enough, because you don't have to sit there and explain stuff. What you do, you do lose is some details and elements of the story that maybe you liked having or you cherished, but they have to go because it's just not space enough to allow for what's going on. Okay, with that, let's end this section and bring us back over to breathe and stretch. Okay, so I'm going to invite you just to take a deep breath in with me. Here we go. And stretch. Ooh, I can feel things popping. Okay. Okay. Ah, good. That feels really good. Okay. So before we move on to the pantser time, how did things go with your crafting of your story? Did it make sense, the direction that we're going? Paying attention to the observation, paying attention to your scribing, and allowing that to be what it is that it's going to be, and then working with that idea to get it into something that you're trying to craft. And specifically, we're talking about microfiction right now, but really it can be whatever length you want it to be, or whatever it is that you want it to have the focus be. That is where you want to sort of point your story to, but don't hold on to it so strictly, right? This is guidelines thing again, right? Keep in mind that, bold choice was a very last minute entry into what I thought was going to be the big keyword, buzzard. So that was a lesson that I learned on that story. Okay, moving over to pantser time. I want to talk about submissions, acceptances, and rejections, and especially rejections. And in fact, this is the only thing that I wrote on this slide. So I'm going to come back now to just talking to the room here. So what I want to do is to talk about, last live, we talked about what is it that happens to your writing after you have written. You've worked, you've crafted, you have spent time on this thing. Maybe it's something that you did a little bit and you're just like, okay, it's fine. Or, you really poured your heart and soul into it. Myself, in recent days, I have made some submissions. One was, well, actually 3 went in for the Moby Dick prompt with Moss Piglet. And 1 was accepted. Okay, and it was the best of the 3, probably. And that was the song parody. The right whale was the wrong whale. So I submitted again for the next issue, which was the issue of patterns, and I submitted 2 poems and a narrative nonfiction. And of the 3. Let's just talk about all 3. So the narrative nonfiction was sort of the one that took a middle amount of time and effort. I had to go look up some source materials, condense it down, list my references, and then talk about the this idea in a narrative form so that it's entertaining and it made sense to people who really don't understand math or science. At least I hope. One of the poems that I submitted, it took about an hour of just sitting down. It's scribed, and it was pretty much done right there on the page. It didn't take much work at all. The other poem, I spent probably 2 weeks fine-tuning it. I could not walk past my computer. It might the laptop would be closed, and I'd be walking past it, and I'd have to stop. I'd have to open it up, have to look at the poem, like fidget with the a word choice, or fidget with a line placement or something. It took 2 weeks. It took a long time to work out. But I submitted all 3, and 1 was accepted, the narrative nonfiction. Does that mean that the 2 poems weren't good or weren't good enough? No, no, not at all. I was happy to have any one of those three be accepted. And the thing that I learned by working through the editing process on that really time-consuming one was to really learn how to edit and edit well. Word by first it was section by section, and then line by line, and then word by word, until finally it was done. It was done with me working on it. It wasn't about me trying to force words or anything into it. It was just basically I would get gripped with an idea. It might happen like overnight when I'm sleeping. I'd wake up and like, oh, I have to go in and I have to like adjust this, or I'd be in the shower and I would be like, start reading through line by line. And it's like, oh, there's something there, until finally it let me go. And then it was like, okay, it's done. It's done. It's finally finished. Go ahead and submit. And it wasn't accepted. That's okay, because that piece wasn't the right piece for this publication at this time. And that's all it means. It's a good piece, and it will be published at some point, maybe, outside of the universe that I control, right? Because anytime you submit, right, you're submitting into a magazine or a literary agent or a publisher of some sort, or an avenue into getting published. And so you're always kind of having to work through a gatekeeper. I can take my work and put it up on my blog. I can share it with family and friends. I can do what I want with my work. And so this poem can also serve as a lesson in knowing that the amount of time, the amount of effort, the amount of skill that you've put into something, it doesn't guarantee success. It does not guarantee that your work is going to be published. It does not guarantee really anything other than you get to experience that experience. And doing that was the reward itself. And I'm grateful that the narrative nonfiction was picked up. I'm very grateful that people get to learn about Einstein tiles. And if you don't know what that is, check out Moss Piglet in their pattern issue. So another submission that I did, this came sort of semi out of the blue. Our fellow co-founder, Carissa, she is, her partner is involved in the tea business, and so she is aware of sort of tea publications. And so out of the blue, a tea publication is asking for haikus. Oddly enough, I've been doing haikus for a while. Check out the haiku live stream where I talk about it. So I've submitted into there. Maybe they'll take one, maybe they'll take the whole series of haiku that I wrote, because when I write the haikus, I like to have them in an order. This is after they have been edited down. And so maybe they'll take them all. Maybe they won't be accepted at all. And that's all okay, because I have put them out there, and now it is for that publisher, that gatekeeper, to decide what's going to work best for their magazine. Does it mean that my time and effort was wasted in writing that stuff? No, not at all, because I'm happy with what I did, and I can use it in however way that I want. And I hope that that gives you permission to take work that you're happy with and proud of and put it out there into the world, and withstand people saying, no, don't like it, or I'm not going to put it in this publication or this issue or whatever. And it's okay, because if you know that your piece is good, that's all you really need. And then beyond that, allow the hearts, allow the thumbs ups, allow the comments just to be sort of an outside thing. Let it be like the cherry on top. That it does not need to be the full meal deal. Your happiness, your satisfaction, your ability to put things onto the page, that's what matters. And with that deep thought, let me move on to this little piece that I wrote at the very beginning of our DXing time here in YouTube. A creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, subscribe, and join us weekly. If you do choose to reach out or to post on social media, here's all the stuff that you need to know. So yeah, I hope to see your writing. Share on social media. Reach out to us at info@drawingXpressions.com. That email is changing, and when I've got the new graphic, I will tell you what that new email is. With that, let me just thank you for joining me on this creative writing journey, and I hope to see you next week, and I hope you have a wonderful creative week until then. Okay. Bye for now.